Hey guys, Axel6 here, back with another video for the Path of Exile 2 0.4 patch. I've been grinding up money and cooking up this build, and I'm really excited to show you guys. I'm going to actually start off with a map showcase and the boss before I actually talk about the character, so let's get right into it. It is a tier 15 fully modded. Let's see, Chilled Ground is really annoying. I would say the scariest mods would be less life recovery rate and increased ailment threshold. We are applying all three elements with this build. It is going to be a triple Herald Trinity Chronomancer with using galvanic shards and shock burst rounds. So let's see how we do. And normally galvanic shards is one shot per reload, but we have two support gems that kind of allow us to keep spraying, which I'll go over more about later. And if you can tell, we kind of keep up the Trinity for the most part. I've been tweaking the stats on my gear, trying to get that sweet spot. It's been kind of difficult. I don't know exactly how to balance it out. But what Trinity essentially does is it grants you a bunch of damage if you can apply fire, ice, and lightning damage equally. And it does cost 100 spirit, and we only have 100 spirit. But from our body armor, okay, I'm talking, sir. We're running the Coming Calamity, which grants you 3 heralds for free, so essentially a 90 spirit body armor. It also has some life and resistances, which is pretty nice. The only thing I have noticed is that our Herald of Thunder and Ash proc a lot, but not the Herald of Ice. Even though we are freezing, we're mostly chilling, I believe, but the clear, I don't think it really needs it, to be fair. And I'm wearing double breach rings, so I know maybe the Pulsicurn ring that lets you shatter chilled enemies might work, but that might be overkill. And I know that there was a off-meta, well, I wouldn't call it off-meta, it was fairly popular, but a not mercenary galvanic shards build last league or patch, the Last Lament Lich. This build isn't trying to be that. I think that build was pretty busted. I didn't play it myself, but I had a buddy who did. I just wanted to do my own take, I guess, on this build that wasn't a mercenary. Chronomancer is probably one of my favorite classes, or ascendancies, I should say. My favorite class is the warrior, believe it or not. A proximity. I have a shotgun. Oh, okay. I don't like that. Alright, oh, this is an abyss. I love doing abysses, but they're honestly one of the scariest mechanics. Those big dudes absolutely hurt. So, I might come back to it after this showcase. Oh, I see the boss up there. Alright, let's see how we do. Load up the plasma shot. Takes a little bit. Oh, and he has that ailment threshold. Okay, now he's shocked. Switch bullets. Freeze time. And he's dead. Nice. first take. If I make any mistakes in the video, or I pause a lot, it's because I don't know how to edit videos just yet, and this is all one take, unscripted. And hello, Angie. Oh, love to see that. Let me just put that away. Okay, so the character, we are currently level 87 with 2400 life. We're capped out on resistances and almost chaos res capped. We don't actually have that much life recovery, but as you can see, we have 70% damage taken recouped as life, and on top of that 39% physical damage recouped and 20% elemental damage recouped. So almost 100% for elemental and over if you take physical. It's going to be our tree real quick. So for the ascendancy, we're doing Chronomancer. Mainly for this, recoup effects instead occur over 4 seconds instead of 8 seconds, and we stack some increased recoup on the tree as well, so you should be recouping quite a bit of life fairly quickly. This one, it's for defense. The enemies are slowed by 20%, which is pretty nice. I think that applies to attack speed as well. And then time freeze is the main skill we want down this tree. It's what allows you to freeze time, makes bossing a lot easier, especially if you're loading up that plasma blast. It takes a while. Temporal Rift lets you snap back in time, but I actually don't use it that much. I could just pop my health flask. And let's see, for the tree itself, it looks a little wild, but we essentially grabbed every recoup node that I could see on the tree, as well as taking some damage is taken from mana before life, and 20% damage taken recouped as mana. And then I have this Heart of the Well for damage recoup, speed of recoup, recover mana on kill. It isn't necessary, but it's nice. And then our other jewels, we have, oh, this one I need to replace, but you ideally want 4% of damage is taken from mana before life. And then for the damage from the tree, it is a little interesting, I think. So you increase your damage if you've chilled, shocked, or ignited. We're currently doing all three, so this is a nice little wheel here. Increase damage against enemies affected by ailments, as well as, let's see, increase elemental damage, magnitude and duration of ailments. This one is increased damage for each type of ailment, so it should be all three. And we grab 10% more max lightning damage. This one gives you just extra damage against shocked and chilled enemy. And I wasn't really triggering the Trinity until I grabbed this wheel, which just increases your fire damage, and then as well as increases your damage against burning enemies, which they should be burning. So I believe that the damage is decent. If you look at the tooltip, it only says 3k, but when your Trinity stacks are full, it will probably triple, which isn't bad, and this doesn't really take into account for all the damage multipliers. To be fair, the tooltip is just a general kind of idea of how much you're doing. Like, shock burst round says 16k, but it's doing a lot more, obviously. So for skills, Temporal Rift, I just have second wind, so you can use it twice. And Titan Freeze, prolonged duration, and cooldown recovery. You only really need to pop it maybe at max 2 times during a boss fight. For the Heralds, I wasn't quite sure what to sock it in, and it comes from our body armor, the Coming Calamity. It grants you 3 of them, level 18, for free. You can get a lower level one as well, because if you don't meet the stat requirements, you actually can't socket anything in, even though the Herald is turned on. So for Herald of Ash, I just have Magnified Area 2, Fire Mastery. Herald of Ice, I have Magnified Area 2, Elemental Armament 2, Fire Attunement, and I have that. So the first 3 are basically the same for Herald of Ice and Thunder. Not sure if the Fire Attunement's the right move, but I'm trying to, proc Trinity. And then Cold Mastery, Lightning Mastery. For Galvanic Shards, we have Elemental Armament 2, We have chain support. It does deal less damage, but we're running Dominus' Grasp to chain 2 times, so that helps with clear a lot. We're running Wrath's Assault, so instead of 1 bullet, we load in 6 bullets, I believe. Yeah, 6 bullets. And that might actually be overkill. Well, no, I think some enemies don't die in 2-3 shots, but Arjun's Metal is insanely good for crossbow skills. It loads a bolt on killing blow, which if you're killing them in 2-3 shots, you're always reloading, or even 1 shot, you're always reloading. So that's why you saw me just spraying in the map. Shock burst rounds, we have fresh clip for more damage, rapid attacks for more attack speed, and I believe attack speed affects reload speed if I'm not wrong. Elemental armament 2, elemental focus because shock burst rounds can't shock anyways. And concentrated area, I think this increases it as well. The pulses, it is tagged as an AoE gem, and the pulses are AoE, but it's really for single target. So more area damage, less area effects. That downside isn't too bad. For the plasma blast, we have increased chance of shock. We have shock duration is increased. Elemental armament 2, and volt, which grants you extra lightning damage based on how much you've moved before you use the skill. But as you can tell, I only used it once in the map during the boss fight, or I guess twice, but you don't really use it that much while mapping, so the voltaic charge will always be built up by the time you get to the boss. Emergency reload, we just have cooldown recovery 2. And for Trinity, we just have cold mastery to bump up the level. It's none of my gems are really qualityed or max level right now, so. And then the last thing I'll go over is the gear I've crafted. Well, besides the uniques, so the Clumbing Calamity I've talked about. It also gives you resistances and Herald skills deal more damage, and enemies in your presence, which your presence isn't that big, but it negates their elemental resistances, which is really nice if you're just in their face. And even during boss fights, I'll get close to them if I'm comfortable with the mechanics. And so you don't really have to worry about getting too much penetration. I know if you get that really expensive support gem where it inverts their resistances, I forgot what it's called exactly. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Rockya's Flow, there you go. I know this technically is better, but if we check the prices on it, it is way too much for me. We also have the Defiance of Destiny. You could swap this out for an amulet with plus projectile skills if you wanted more damage, but on top of the recoup, you recover missing life before being hit. It makes you almost unkillable to chip damage, is what I've been noticing. It's a really, I love this amulet. I run it on a lot of builds. I'm still rocking the Midnight Braid. I could wear a different belt, maybe a Headhunter's. I am a little bit overcapped on my resistances, but 50% of damage recouped as mana is really nice. I'm never needing to pop a mana flask. And yeah, this is like one exalt. The breach rings were kind of pricey. I got Chaos Res, Fire Res, the rarity is pretty nice, and then we got some stats on there to be able to run our heralds. And then I'm stacking fire and cold damage, and as well as on my gloves, fire and cold damage, and as much life as possible that I can fit in. The boots have movement speed, lightning res, chaos res, and if you notice, I think I've been saying that a lot. I have 2 sockets, but the armor bases are level 65 and 59, so they were like 1 exalt before I started crafting the gear. The helmet just has a bunch of chaos res and life. The most expensive thing was the crossbow to craft. I bought a Gemini crossbow with plus 7 projectile skills, and I got the fracture on the first try. You might not be as lucky, and then with some chaos spamming and using essences and abyss crafting. Actually, I didn't even use an abyss desecrated mod in this. Oh, it took me a while, is what I'm trying to say, to actually get these stats. The onslaught and the damage is extra cold is guaranteed with an essence, but you want to keep at least attack speed, the gain damages extra cold is important, as well as the flat fire. I ideally wanted physical damage or cold damage instead of lightning damage, but I can't really complain with the tier 2 roll. And then I added cold damage with the Lady Hestra's rune and the Cyclone's rune of the sky for 5% damages all damage types. And that is pretty much everything about the build. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and please leave a like, comment if you have any suggestions for the build to make it tankier or more powerful. And yeah, thank you guys so much. Take it easy.